What's up, deep thinkers? It's Robert from Existence First. And today I just wrapped up 2 different workshops: social confidence workshop, actually 3, spiritual self-defense, which is more of like my weekly thing, and self-sabotage workshop. Self-sabotage workshop is now closed. The video will be on my website if you want that program. Now, what I want to talk about in this video, though, is if we open up the mind, like if we open up this filing cabinet, we're going to see files, right? If we open up this business card box, we're going to see business cards, okay? If we open up your mind, what do we see? That's the question, because my vision right now is to make the invisible visible, the invisible stuff of the mind, okay? So, if we open up your mind, I'll tell you what we'll see. We'll see associations. Associations, meaning like linkages, like apple means like fruit, or like apple means like red, like these associations, okay? Real life example, I went to Chicago, my hometown, this past weekend, and this is the subject of this was the subject of today's spiritual self-defense class, right? Because what I noticed after working 8 years in psychology and studying self-help is that when I went back, all of these old thought patterns, behavior patterns started getting triggered. Also roles that I used to play there, right? And I don't mean roles like I was in a theater group or something and I had a certain role to play on the stage, but I mean real life, living life is actually a stage. And so living your day-to-day life, you play these different roles, right? In one area of your life, at work, maybe you're a supervisor, maybe you're an employee, and then at home, maybe you're a father, mother, whatever. Growing up, you were a younger sibling, or you were an older sibling, right? You were popular in school, or you were teased or bullied at school, or you were the independent at school, or you were the jock or the cheerleader, or any sort of category. Now, what I noticed is that when I went back to Chicago, just for 4 days, I noticed everything being triggered, right? From just physical environment, like being in certain neighborhoods, triggered certain thought patterns in me. Being around certain people, people with whom I already had a pre-existing role, right? For instance, people I grew up with. I spent years and years in a certain psychological role, and so the presence of that person then triggers that role. So my behavior is really not that freely chosen. It's kind of more automatic in those situations, which gives you insight into what psychology really is and what human behavior really is. But if you open up your mind, you're going to see these associations, and you're going to see one tied to one association is your role, right? And the role is this whole complex, not an instrument, but like this whole schema or framework, right, of certain ways to behave. And so what you would have to ask yourself is what roles do you currently play? Actually, I have a product about this. It was a series of lectures I did specifically to help you get an understanding of how you actually are just playing into roles in every moment of your life. And that's on existencefirst.com also. But these roles that we're constantly playing, they're being triggered constantly by the environment, okay? So that's one thing. Here's another example of an association. It's not a role. It's an emotional association. So just now I was looking through my emails, and I saw an email to myself, which was a reminder. It was a shopping list of things that I wanted to buy right leading up to the trip, right? Like stuff like a travel bag and stuff like that. But when I saw that shopping list just now, instantly I felt that pre-flight anxiousness of oh shoot, this is it, I gotta prepare, I can't miss my flight. That's sort of emotional tone, okay? So if we open your mind, what we're gonna see is these little associations and these little objects that have a glow to them, and that glow is the emotional tone of it. It's this emotional component. It's the feeling of it, right? I think it was Antonio Damasio that wrote a book called The Feeling of What Happens, which is a great book if you're looking to really understand that the human being is like a physical like system with neurophysiology. I believe he's like a neuroscience professor or something. But the feeling of what happens, even just the phrasing of that, the feeling of what happens, like it's totally, it describes our human subjective experience. Anyways, what's another example of association? So my next trip is going to be to Vegas. Okay, I'm going to Vegas in February for Grant Cardone's 10X convention. It's a business growth convention. Now, Vegas, my perception and my association with Vegas has changed over the years. When I was like 8 and 10 years old, my family took a trip to Vegas as part of a family reunion. And my biggest memory there was like riding on the roller coaster and in the theme park, which I think no longer exists anymore. But see, not many people, for them, Vegas is associated with roller coaster. But for me, that was the association. It was roller coaster. And that was the artifact in my mind. If you opened my mind, you would see that association. Vegas. Now here's the encouraging part about this, right? Even though the mind consists of these associations, and then as soon as you lay your head down to go to sleep in your dream, your mind just uses association links to create your dreams, uses symbolism and associations with the emotional tones. Here's the proof that you can actually like change the associations. Because when I was 8 and 10, the association of Vegas was roller coaster. Then when I got into my 20s and I went there to like party with friends, then it became party capital, which is probably for most people what they associate Vegas with, right? Partying. Now, as I'm going there for this new business convention, now my association to Vegas is actually like business networking. Like that's when I hear Vegas, I think business trip, right? So those are 3 different sets of associations, and it depends on experience. But that I like the fact that it's evolved over time for me, because it proves the ability of the mind to change its associations. So then the question is, we open up your mind and we see these little artifacts in there, which consist of associations, objects tied to each other through an association, and those objects carry with them a certain glow or an emotional tone to them. Now, here's the thing. Can you go into that room and start changing the objects around? Yes. Yes, you can. You can change which objects are tied to which other objects, and you can, presumably, you can change the objects that are in there. To do that, that's what you need these workshops for. But more of them will be coming. More videos will be coming. Comment below what videos are helpful and what questions you would like answered, and that will help to develop the trajectory of these videos. Okay, so thank you again for watching. Remember to click subscribe and share it on your social media. But last, not least, think deeply and put your existence first.